You're not pitching your app anymore. You're building it. Okay, technically Claude is building it, but you get the point. We're just standing behind it going, yeah, do that. Last episode, we built a meditation app from scratch with Claude Code and Xcode. It runs, it works, shockingly. Links in the description if you missed it. And by the way, even if you didn't watch that video, you're fine. This episode applies to literally anything AI built. No homework required, because that first version, yeah, it technically works phase. Now things get real. Before we start bolting on shiny new features like an irresponsible developer, we first need a foundation. Because if we don't, Claude gets helpful. You ask for one small tweak and it updates 6 things while it was in there. You fix one button and it rewrites an entire function you weren't even talking about. Technically impressive, operationally concerning. And when something breaks, we're back to our day job. So in this episode, we're doing something radical, at least for me. We're getting organized. We're creating a Claude.md file so that Claude actually understands what you're building. Wild concept, I know. We're installing Git so you can rewind time like responsible adults. Then we'll add a brand new feature. And then at the end, we're putting this on your actual iPhone app without paying for the Apple developer's license. Take that, Apple. This is where the project stops being a toy and starts being real. Let's build it the right way. Okay, let's let Claude create its own init file. Why is this important? Well, Claude doesn't have a memory, so every time you shut it down and open it up, it's starting from scratch. It's starting brand new. It needs to read through your entire code base to understand what changes you want to make to it. And so what we want to do is prevent that from happening. What we want to do is create a Claude.md file that will allow Claude to look up the app structure and its architecture, what it should do, what it shouldn't do, in a file so it can quickly come up to speed. And then when you start making suggestions for what you want to have, and when you start suggesting features and start building features, it will make the right decisions. If you don't do this, what will happen is Claude will have to read through your entire code base every single time it starts up. It's going to take a while to do that. So the very first feature you build is going to take a long time. When you start adding new features, it's also going to take a long time because it has to read new parts of the app. The Claude.md file will help it come up to speed much faster. Also, Claude can get confused. It can make mistakes, as it says. And one of the ways it does that is by not having a Claude.md file so that I can reference to see what its guardrails are. So we're going to create this Claude.md file. And the great news is that Claude can create it itself. So let's open up Claude. And all you have to do to create this, you can type in your own custom prompt if you want, so you can say the things that you want. But at this point in time, if you're a new developer, you probably don't know what that should be. So simply type in init, and it will initialize a new Claude file. It will go through your code base. It will look at all your files. It will look at the architecture, and it will understand the setup, and it will save it to this Claude.md file. So again, it will open it back up again every time you open Claude, and it will have an understanding of what your app is. And you actually want to do this quite often. So after you've made a bunch of changes to features, sometimes you want to run Claude in it again, or you can just say, update my Claude.md file with these recent changes. So you can actually add to it. It's highly encouraged that you add to it because it should have a current snapshot of where your project is at any time. It's continuing to go through your project, get an understanding of everything. And then once it has a full understanding, it will come back and say, I'm ready. So it's reading a couple of more files before writing the Claude.md file. And just as it was doing before, when it was adding code, you can see the code as it's being added. It will ask you for permissions. Yes, please write to our Claude file. And there it is. It's been created. It provides an overview of what's covered in the Claude.md file. Let's take a look at it. So let's exit out of Claude. Open up Finder. Here you can hit Command space, or you can go up to the search icon on the top right-hand side. I'm just going to type in the word Finder, and then I'm going to hit Command N, which is going to open up a new window and go into the directory. And there's that Claude.md file. Tap on it. So just to make sure that you have the it opens up in the program that you want, we'll right click on that, go scroll down where it says open with, and go into notes. Everyone has notes on their Mac app. And here is the Claude.md file. Not a lot of magic going on here. It's a very small project. It has an overview of what each of the main files mean. So down in this architecture section, it lists out the purpose of each of these files. It also has instructions on how to build and run the app so that when it adds features, it can build it, which is a way of checking to see if there are any errors in it, and then allowing for it to run. So here we are, a Claude.md file. It will help you out a great deal. You need to keep it updated as you move along, and we'll continue to do that as we work through this meditation app. Next up is Git, which is equally, if not more important than setting up the Claude.md file. Okay, now we're ready to set up Git. Now, Git really is a non-negotiable. You have to have Git installed. You have to have it up and running. You have to use it. It will cause you hours and hours of pain if you don't use Git. I can tell you from personal experience, I've gone through that pain. You don't want to do that. So what is Git? Git is a means of storing different versions of your code. So as you continue to update the meditation app or any other app that you might want to build, it will create a new version of each set of changes that you make. And so that in some cases, Claude can make many mistakes, and it doesn't make them all the time, but on occasion it will make a couple of doozies. It will go in an entirely wrong direction. Even if you have a good Claude.md file like we've created, there's always a chance that it's going to go off and do something that you didn't mean to do. And the best way to unwind that, the best way to go back to where you started from a clean slate is to use Git, because you can simply just say, I want to go back to the previous version. Let's start and try that again. Now, you should have Git installed on your computer. It should have come installed when you installed Xcode. But if you don't, you can actually just open up Claude and ask it how to install on your computer. It will help you do that. That will be a little side project if for some reason you don't have Git installed. Now we're going to assume you do have Git installed, and we're going to get you set up and running with Git very quickly. It's incredibly easy to start. You simply just type the words Git init, make sure that you're in your meditation app directory. It will initialize a new repository for you. There you go. You have a Git repository. You have a place so you can store your code and go back in time for instances where you've made mistakes. Before you can do any of that, though, you have to add the code that you have created. So again, for that, you type in git add and then a dot. That's going to add all the files inside of this meditation app directory. Now that they're added, they have to be committed. So when you add them, that's essentially what's called staging. You can stage them. You can get them ready to be put into the repository. They're now added. Now you have to commit them. So here you would type in git commit and then -n, which stands for message. And then here you type in the message. This is the initial repo. It's a repository, but most people just say repo for the meditation app with a Claude.md file that we just created. And it's as simple as that. You hit enter, you see all the files being added in there, and now you have a Git repository and you're ready to go. Again, why we do this is because Claude is probabilistic. Sometimes it gets aggressive. Sometimes it goes and does things that you don't want it to do. Git gives you the ability to time travel, go back in time, start brand new, and then move forward from a good place. Every time we're going to make a meaningful change in the meditation app, we're going to commit those changes so that we can make sure that if any mistake was made, we can go back. Also, we want to make sure that through the different instances of, or the different iterations of our app, we have a history of all the changes that we've made. And that is another thing that Git provides you. Now, there's one more thing that we want to do. We want to configure Git so it knows your name and it knows your email address. These are going to be important when you check in code. When you commit code, it wants to know who committed it, what the person's name was, what the email address was. It's also going to be important later when we create a Git repository up in the cloud so you can store your code over there. You definitely want a version of this in the cloud. It creates a backup copy of your files. Git provides, I think, 5 projects for free, so there's no reason not to do it. It's a very simple and easy thing to do. So what I'm going to do is show you the 2 commands that you have to use to set this up. The first one is just adding your name. I'm just going to say Jimbo. Why not? And then the second one is to add your email address. So here, type in your email address, anyone that you want. Here is mine. I'm sure some spammers will now reach out to me, but feel free for anyone else to reach out to me. I'm happy to answer questions. And now it sets that up. Great. We've got our Claude.md file, which is providing an overview of the application so that when we open up Claude, it has an understanding of the app. We have Git in place so you can time travel. You can not be afraid to make mistakes because you can always go back and start fresh again. And now we're ready to go ahead and add some more features to our meditation app. Okay, well, let's go ahead and open up our Xcode with the meditation app. And I've already got the simulator loaded here, but that doesn't have to be the case. It'll automatically launch when you press it. So let's load back up the meditation app to check in exactly where we left off. And so here we have a timer. Again, yours will look a little bit different because again, this is probabilistic coding. So there's a 10-minute, 15, 20-minute timer. There's also a custom timer. You can hit play, and there's a gong sound, which didn't get recorded in the last session, and hopefully I'll get it recorded this time. But now we want to make some changes to the app. We've set up our Claude.md file. We've set up Git, so now we can go back if we mess something up. And now we're going to go ahead and enter a new prompt. So let's bring up our terminal. You should know how to do this by now. Command space, type in the word terminal, or the search icon on the top right-hand side, type in the word terminal, it'll pop up. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a prompt, and I'm going to copy and paste this puppy, open up Claude, and we're going to make some changes. Pretty simple changes, but there's a couple of key things I want you to take note of. We're going to add a session counter that increments when we complete a meditation session. It persists, so it'll load and keep that memory of the session every time the app loads up again. So it'll increment by another session when the app is loaded and a meditation session is run. But we're also saying, hey, follow the Claude.md files rules. It's not strictly needed. It's supposed to follow these rules anyway, but it never hurts to put this in as well. And then we're going to also put something in here that says, hey, don't remove or refactor anything existing. Just make this change, please. Because Claude can be a little overexpansive sometimes and take on things that you may not have wanted to happen. So, again, you don't always have to do this, but this is a good best practice. So let's hit enter. And again, we're just going to let Claude do its work. It's going to go and it's going to look at the relevant files in the code base. It does have the Claude.md file, which has a little bit of a map for that. You'll see it's actually going to be able to do this a lot faster because it has the Claude.md file. So we're going to hit yes. It's asking us if we want to make changes. So it's going through its list of things to do. Now it's done, and it's going to test by running the build. So it's going to run this internally. It's not going to launch the simulator, but it's going to just check to see if there's any compile errors. And here it's saying the command line tools are not configured, so it wasn't able to do that. That's fine. We can set that up later. And then it gives us a list of things that it's added. So let's go back into Xcode. And for this, I'm just going to hit Command Tab to open up Xcode. I'm going to stop this previous simulator version, hit play to run it again. You can see in the bottom now, there's a sessions completed button. So that when you go ahead and run a session, so let's actually run a session here for 1 minute. We could all get a quick 1-minute meditation session in. So let's run it. Now, if you wanted to do meditation, just lower the volume. Otherwise, I'm going to continue to talk a little bit. So at this point, we've got a functioning meditation app. It allows you to set custom times. It tracks sessions. We can add other features like tracking the total amount of time that you've performed meditations. And I think there's some pretty advanced AI stuff eventually that I want to get to as well, where you can tell it what kind of mood you're in, and then it will actually come back and say, here's the meditation you should be doing, with a couple of small voice cues in that meditation to try to get you grounded in that space. And that's where we're going to be pointing this meditation app. That's the direction we're going to be heading. So we're going to be doing some cool stuff. We're going to do some work with LLMs and AI and calling them and doing voice. There's all kinds of stuff we're going to do here. But we just finished our session. And if you were meditating, turn your volume back up. We can see that the one session completed has been updated. So this is working. This is another great improvement. So we're going to do one more thing that's super important that I know you're going to want to do, because this doesn't really feel real until you have it running on your own phone. So what we're going to do is we're going to set this up to be able to run on your own phone. And as I mentioned before, you don't need to pay the $99 a year for the Apple developer's license. If you want to do that, that's great. It'll make it a little bit easier for you. You can actually put it into the App Store when you create an app of your own. Or you can put this one in there as well. Just name it something else. But we're going to go through the process of just using your standard Apple ID, your Apple login ID, to make this happen. Okay, now we're going to set your phone up for developer mode. One thing you can do if you get stuck, you don't have a YouTube video in front of you at the time, is to ask Claude. So let's ask Claude and see what it says. Just say, how do I set up developer mode on my iPhone? Let's see what it says. It should give you some instructions on how to set up the iPhone. Yep. Go to settings, privacy, security, enable developer mode, toggle the developer mode on. Your phone will prompt you to restart. After reboot, you'll get confirmation. So you can do that, but I'm going to start a video of the process on my phone right now. All right, so here's the iPhone app. We're going to go into settings, and then we're going to scroll down more, a little bit more, and then we're going to find the privacy settings, privacy and security. Then we're going to scroll down even a little more here, down to the very bottom where it says developer mode. And we're going to click on that button, tap on that button, and we're going to restart our iPhone. Okay, with that complete, now we're going to finish the process by adding this phone to Xcode. So you want to take your phone and you want to plug it into your computer. It's going to ask you whether you can trust this device. It might ask you that a few times. So select yes, trust. And then what we want to do is go over here where we would pick the different simulators, and then we can go to manage run destinations. Your iPhone should show up over here, and it's here, and here is where you can then add it in to Xcode so that you can place apps on it. So we're going to hit connect, and then it's going to go through what can be a long process of setting up your phone. It's going to install a bunch of libraries. It's going to install God knows what. It installs a bunch of stuff that I don't even understand, but that might take a while. So again, grab a cup of coffee, consider your life decisions or not. Open up the meditation app, do a quick meditation. Hold on tight though. Once this is set up, we'll continue. We'll get the meditation app up and running on your iPhone. Okay, once it's been added and connected, you might have to actually, to finish the process, restart Xcode again. This process can be a bit finicky, so you might have to work through it a couple of times. But now what you're going to do is you're going to hit the play button. Actually, the first thing you're going to do is go down and select your iPhone, the one that you just added. Then you're going to hit the play button. It's going to say build failed. And we're going to go through a quick fix to be able to get through that. But anytime you see an error in Xcode, you can go right over here and you can see what the error is. Now, in most cases, you don't care about that because you're not going to write code to fix it yourself. However, you can copy and paste that into Claude Code, and then Claude Code will tell you what to do. You can just paste it right in there, and it should tell you that you're going to need to add a development team, which is exactly what we're about to do, and select automatic signing capabilities. And it says you can actually run it again on a physical device with a free Apple ID. So again, anytime you have a question, you're not sure, Claude will help you. Claude is your teacher as well. It not only codes for you, but it will teach you if you have any questions. And we'll get a lot deeper into the things that it can help you with in future episodes. So let's go back into Xcode. And now what we're going to do is go back over here. Let's get you back to probably where you were looking at some code. And what you want to do is go over here and tap on where it says meditation app at the top. And then over where it says targets, select the meditation app. You see a bunch of tabs here. Click on signing and capabilities. From there, make sure that automatically managed signing is checked, and then select your ID. If you've added your account to Apple, right over here, like we did in the first episode, your team should be here. If not, go ahead and add it now. Again, that's your Mac ID. So anything you use to buy apps in the App Store, that's what you would use for this. Select that team. Now, Let's get Xcode back here. Now you should be able to run the app and it will install on your iPhone. Make sure your iPhone is not locked. Make sure it's on. You can actually install the app wirelessly as well. But for this first case, let's keep it plugged in. Hit the play button. It will then go build it. And you can see it's succeeded. And then the app is going to actually load up on my iPhone. There it is. Pretty amazing. All without a developer's license. This may actually take a while the very first time because again, it will continue to install things on your phone that set up the ability to install iPhone apps on your phone. So if you see some working going on up there, right over here, it's installing this, it's installing that. That's fine, that's normal. It might take a little while to get that to go. It could take up to 5 to 10 minutes. So don't get too frustrated. It will take a while. But after you've done this the first time, like running the simulator the first time, once you run it on the iPhone the first time, everything is much, much faster. So the second time you run it, it'll be much faster. Okay, well, that's a wrap. And as always, thank you for watching this video and stay tuned for more videos to come.